Hi again, it's Nicola here at The Puppy Nanny. So today's video we are going to be working on teaching our dogs to do a lie down. So this is kind of the next nice step from a sit. So we've charged the clicker, they know what the clicker means and they're happy with that. And you've spent some time working on your sit, so they know a sit really well as well. It's very difficult to teach a lie down without teaching a sit first, so make sure that you've mastered the sit exercise before you start working on your lie down. So it's a very similar technique to what we did with the sit. We're going to use the law and reward technique again to teach the lie down. But we need to start off with them in a sit position first of all. So whereas with the sit it doesn't matter where we're starting, with a lie down it's important that they're starting in a sit first of all. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask them to sit like we've done on the previous video. And then we're going to have, in one hand we're going to have our clicker again, and in the other hand we're going to have our reward treat. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold that in front of your dog's nose, so quite close, right in front of their nose, so they know you've got it. And then you're very slowly going to lower that treat down to the floor. Now you're lowering them down to the floor, you're aiming for between their two front paws. What a lot of people do with this exercise is, as they're doing it, they lower down and they move it away at the same time. And if you do that, most dogs will get distracted and lose interest. So you need to keep it close to their nose and you need to keep it moving straight down, in a line straight down to the floor, as I say, in between their two front paws. And you want to do it slowly so that their nose stays with the treat. It's not going to work if your treat's moving down to the floor and their nose is still up in a sit position. It's only going to work if they're following that treat. So if they're not following the treat, you need to try a better treat basically. You need something that they're really interested in. So when their nose gets to the floor, just check where their bum is. What we want is, we want their nose on the floor next to the treat, but we also want their bum still on the floor, so their bum's still in that sit position. So that's what we're looking for. So they're kind of in a bit of a hunched over position. Once we've got to that step, then what we're next going to do is we're going to take that treat and just pull it slowly away from their body so that they have to follow it with their nose again. And what they'll do, because they're following it with their nose, their two front legs should move forward and they should stretch out and their tummy should hit the ground. As soon as their tummy touches the ground, we're going to click and then we're going to let them have that treat that we were using as a law. Okay? There's a couple of things that can sometimes go wrong. The most common thing that can go wrong when we're teaching lie down, and I see this all the time with puppies, is that as we're lowering their nose down, instead of their bottom staying down in a sit position, their bottom goes up in the air and they end up in quite a cute little play bow position. So nose is down and bottom's up. And it's really cute and it's lovely, and we can teach that as a trick, but it's not quite what we're looking for here. So we need to make sure that we don't reward that, keep the reward to yourself, and you're just going to start the exercise again. So keep the reward, ask them to sit and then start the exercise again. And you're just going to keep repeating it. Don't worry if it takes you a little while to get the hang of the lie down. You sit, most of the time they'll get really, really quickly. The lie down takes a little bit longer. I have to confess that I don't think Joey learned how to do a lie down till he was about 3 years old. And he was doing sit from being a puppy, but he just really struggled with the lie down. So don't worry if it takes you a little bit of time. So I'm going to show you a video of how to teach this. This video is one that I've done with the very, very lovely Lily. She's a 7-month-old German Shepherd puppy. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to teach Lily to do a lie down. So here we go. So here is beautiful Lily. So I've got a treat in my right hand and I've got my clicker. You can just see that in my left hand. I've started off with Lily in a sit. I've held that treat in front of her nose and then I've lowered her slowly down to the ground. And if you watch, I'm going straight down in a line straight down. Lily gets quite comfy in a lie down. So to get her out so I can repeat it, I'm just chucking a bit of cheese on the floor next to her so that she moves so I can start again. And she's actually already dropping into a lie down sometimes because she already knows this exercise. So I'm starting again with a sit. I've got that treat in my hand, I'm lowering her down to the ground and then I'm pulling it away from her. So So as I pull it away, you can see her walking her front paws forward. That's what we want her to do. We want those front paws to walk forward so that her tummy touches the floor. And again, I'm just chucking a treat to get her to move out of that lie down position. So let's have another go. So sit first, lure down with the treat, pull the treat out, and then click and let her have that treat as a reward. Again, she looks very comfortable there, doesn't she? So next we're going to move on to the next step of this, which is getting rid of that treat in the hand that you're luring with and starting to think about moving it to a hand signal instead. So now when I'm doing it, I've got the treat and the clicker both in my left hand and I've got nothing at all in my right hand. So my right hand is empty. And what I'm doing is I'm just repeating the same movements that I was doing before. So I'm asking her to do the sit. I'm holding the empty hand in front of her nose, as I say, again, as if I've got a treat in my hand. And then I'm doing that same luring technique, luring her down to the ground and then away, but just with an empty hand. And then when she's in position, I'm clicking with the left hand and I'm giving her the treat out of my left hand. So she's still getting a reward. She's learning that she's still going to get a reward for doing that exercise, even though the treat isn't right there in front of her. And that's really important for her to learn, because once we've got to that stage, we can start to change that luring motion into a hand signal. So as you can see, I'm slightly changing my hand signal from that down and out movement to more of a pointing at the floor sort of hand signal, but we need to do that really gradually so she doesn't get confused. So I'm starting to turn it into more of a sweeping gesture instead. So I'm asking her to sit, and I'm sweeping my hand downwards, pointing at the floor, and then I'm clicking and giving her the treat with the other hand. Good girl, Lily. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for you, and that was a good example of how to teach a lie down and then how to get rid of that treat in your hand as well. With the lie down, as I said before, there's a couple of things that can go wrong. One thing to watch out for as well is to make sure that you're doing it on a nice soft surface. A lot of dogs don't like doing a lie down outside when they're learning, or on a hard floor as well, so try and do it on a rug or a carpet or a blanket. And same as with the sit, you want to spend a day or so just working on the lie down with that treat in your hand as a lure before you move on to phasing out that treat. And then you can move on to putting the treat in the other hand with the clicker and changing that lure into a hand signal instead. So hopefully that's helpful. Well done.